Steve, we keep hearing that we might be getting some vote from Arizona sort of imminently, but it looks like we're getting some new vote now.
Yeah, well, we're expecting, I think, the top of the hour, so 9 p.m.
Okay.
If it's past 8 now, 9 p.m. Eastern, we're expecting probably a fair amount of vote here. So, again, this is the statewide picture in Arizona right now. We're expecting to get a bunch from Maricopa. Again, Maricopa, I mean, this is like almost 2/3 of the votes out of Arizona are going to come from Maricopa. It's the Phoenix metro area. You see how that vote counting is going right now. Now, here's the deal on what is outstanding in Maricopa County. There's about 420,000 votes still to come out of Maricopa County. There's about 600,000 total still to come statewide. So again, the lion's share of the outstanding vote is coming out of Maricopa County. This is the suspense. You know, you've mentioned other folks have called the Arizona race, and there's some people saying, was that too early? Here's the reason why there has been some suspense here. Arizona's votes come in 3 buckets. The first bucket of votes, call them the early votes. These were the ones that were cast weeks ago. Folks mailed them in October. Folks mailed them in a week before the election. This is a bucket that contains every ballot that was cast up until the weekend before the election. This is what was counted first in Maricopa County. It's the largest bucket, and we expect it's perhaps the most Democratic bucket. It's a very Democratic bucket. Joe Biden won it by 10 points. So those are the first votes that we saw last night out of Maricopa and everywhere in Arizona. Now, the second bucket of votes, this is the one that was tabulated overnight last night. The second bucket of votes is the same day. It's folks who showed up, said, I want to vote, and it's sort of a normal, I went the old-fashioned way of going to the polls, get your ballot, vote on Election Day. And again, we've seen this in Arizona. We've seen this elsewhere. This is a very Republican group. Donald Trump was winning this group something on the order of 26 points. Now, they've counted, we believe, all of the same-day vote in Maricopa County, all of that early vote, all of that same-day vote, and it's left the overall picture in Maricopa in this position. Biden leading by 6, wins the early by 10, loses the same day by 26, and it brings us to the third and final bucket of votes. That's what we're expecting to get a readout on at 9 o'clock Eastern time or thereabouts. What this is, we're going to call this the late early vote, okay? And what I'm talking, I can't really read my writing on there. The late early vote. These are the ballots, the mail-in ballots that arrived after the last week, like the Monday before the election, that arrived like right before Election Day, or that people drove into their polling places on Election Day. And I think you were talking about this, Rachel, with your guest earlier. There's a little bit of suspense. There's a little bit of philosophical debate among election nerds that's playing out right now, because we know the early was going to be Democratic, and it was. We know the same day was going to be Republican, and it was. And then the question is, well, what is this going to be? What's this late early going to be? Look at how many ballots there are there. Now, one argument is, it's early vote. We keep talking about the Democratic vote as being the early vote. Hey, won't this be Democratic vote? Could be. We'll find out in an hour. The argument against that is a dynamic we've seen in this election is that the Democratic early vote was so excited, so enthusiastic, so eager to get out there that it was cast weeks ahead of time. It wasn't cast on the last day. It wasn't driven into the polls on the last day. That's the behavior going to the election place that's Republican voting behavior this year, going and doing it on Election Day. So those are the arguments you're hearing people make. The Trump campaign is making that last argument I just made. No, those are Republican votes that are about to come in. There's 420,000 Republican votes about to come in. Trump's going to win them by 26 points again. If he wins them by 26 points, he catches Joe Biden in Maricopa County. He catches him statewide. That's the question. What Trump has to do, if he wants to catch Biden in Maricopa, if he wants to catch him in Arizona, he's got to win the late early bucket by the same score that he won the same day vote. He's got to be over 60%. He's got to win it by about 26. Anything less than that, probably not going to be enough to catch Biden. So that's the suspense we're building towards in Arizona.
And, Steve, when that third bucket, the early lates, comes in, regardless of whether or not they're enough to put President Trump in a lead, do you think that will be enough vote, again, which we might get in 45 minutes, to call Arizona one way or the other?
So I am not authorized to speak on behalf of our decision desk.
I hear you.
But I would say I know that all of the folks looking at the elections, not anywhere in particular, want to know. The question everybody's asking when you start to get these votes is, which of those, is this a Republican group or is this a Democratic group?
Right.
And if you establish it's a Democratic group, you could probably extrapolate from there.
Okay. And I don't mean to ask too much of you, but let's say that President Trump does well at the top of this hour when those votes come in Arizona. Let's say that President Trump wins Arizona. If Joe Biden wins Georgia, do both candidates still have a potential path to 270?
So let's take a look here. The scenario you're talking about, here's where we are right now. The scenario, I got Georgia colored in there. Now, I want to make sure this is exactly where we are. Alaska is also colored in, it shouldn't be. 253, 214. That's where we are right now.
Yeah.
You're asking if Trump overtakes Biden in Arizona.
Yes.
So let's assign that to Trump, and you can see what it does. Now Trump's at 225. Biden, yes, there are still a number of paths for Biden at that point. But if Biden, for instance, were to get Georgia, now you see Biden. Wrong color. Look at that. You see Biden at 269, and he would need one other electoral vote. Could he get it in Pennsylvania? Could he get it in North Carolina? He would, practically speaking, need Pennsylvania. There's a scenario where he could pull out North Carolina here. It involves ballots that were already put in the mail before Election Day, and that that's what he's relying on to win North Carolina. Pennsylvania, the math I just showed you, that's a more solid proposition for Biden than North Carolina. So if he does not, Biden get Arizona or Nevada, he could get Nevada. That's the easier one. He could get Nevada.
Well, in Nevada, we don't expect to know, we think, until tomorrow, given in terms of when they're going to put their votes forward.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing here. We're saying, I think tomorrow around noon, we expect to get a readout on Nevada and see if Biden can hold on to that lead there. As we said, they're reporting these votes now very quickly in Pennsylvania. We're watching that just since we've been on the air. We've watched that Trump lead in Pennsylvania come down dramatically. So one thing we're trying to find out right now is, are they processing these and are they reporting these out overnight in Pennsylvania? Because I think we've had some thinking here that Nevada noon tomorrow, after you get through Arizona tonight, Nevada noon tomorrow might be the next kind of, moment of truth. If they keep doing this overnight, what we're seeing them do right now in Pennsylvania, that could speed the process up in Pennsylvania. We could get clarity there sooner than we were thinking.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.